Welcome back, guys. Day number 13 of the Fit Chick Project. And today we have on Val Voboril. Now, Val is a super unique soul that has really mastered the juggling act of life. While being 10 years older than most of her competitors, she's a 6 times games athlete, with 2 of those taking the 3rd place title at the CrossFit Games. And get this, all while juggling being a mom, a wife, and a full-time school teacher. With all her responsibilities, Val learned early on how to master her fitness with a very tight schedule. And she's really been such a good leader at how to keep things in perspective in regards to work and family and fitness, and really how to make the most out of her very limited time. Since retiring from competing at the professional level, she's adopted a new way of training, one where she doesn't feel the need to crush herself, but rather just have fun with it, which is something that I think she's always been really good at, and that's why I reached out to her. Despite dropping her training intensity and her volume, she's been able to maintain her 6-pack and fitness with ease. And today, you get to find out just how she does it all. Some of my favorite topics that we covered were: 1, how she had to improvise her training after becoming a mom. Number 2, when she knew it was time to retire. Number 3, why it's important to have other things in her life besides the gym and fitness. Number 4, how her body has changed since retiring. Number 5, what her training looks like today. Number 6, how she manages herself from going hard in the gym. Number 7, what she does when she doesn't feel like working out. Number 8, the importance of fun and not taking things so seriously. And number 9, the one thing that she needs to make her fit life possible and easy. So check out this interview, guys. I hope you enjoy it. And then be sure to give her a follow on Instagram by clicking the links below. And then let me know what your biggest takeaway is. I hope you guys enjoy the show.
Hey, Natalie, how are you?
I'm doing good. So excited to have you on here. And I just want to explain, I want to tell you a little bit about why. First off, I feel like when I was thinking about Val's just one of those really interesting athletes. You know, she was always the one that really hard to crack. Val's just one of those girls where you looked at her and you just couldn't figure out how does she do it? She was one of those girls that just kind of stood out as not somebody that you thought would, because you weren't really intimidating. It's not like I just got off the call with Talena, and Talena's freaking jacked, or
Right.
she was. And so
Yeah.
it's one thing to see her, and you were jacked too, but it's just you were so stealthy and so good. But what the thing is that you brought this different vibe to to the sport. You're just I can just feel your natural sort of motherly loving state. You just look and feel like a teacher, like a kindergarten teacher. And it's just so it was just kind of cool to see how you were able to keep everything in perspective and perform so damn well.
Yeah.
So I feel like you've been practicing this for a really long time. So that's why I'm super excited to have you on the show. And so let's go ahead and get into it. So I wanted to start off and ask you just some icebreaker questions. What is your favorite low calorie treat?
Low calorie treat.
Low cal.
Nuts, but those aren't low calorie. Those are my favorite snack. I love to eat bananas and nuts. So bananas would be my favorite low calorie treat. Bananas.
Okay, so I have an idea of where we're already going with this talk today. Because I would not consider that low cal. That's awesome. Okay, yeah. Cool. All right, so how about high calorie treat?
Oh, then I guess we go to chocolate. York peppermint patties.
Ooh, okay. I like those. Yeah.
Those are yummy. I have to hide them in the house because my mini-me likes to eat them all.
Oh, really?
Yes.
What, do you buy the round ones, right?
Okay, yeah. And then we throw them in the freezer, and then you got to pull them out, and then you eat the chocolate off the edges, and then it slowly melts, and you got to there's a whole process.
That sounds good. You know which ones I like too are those Andes, the
yes.
rectangle. Yeah, those ones are good too, and that would be good frozen too.
That would be good, frozen, because the middle just melts.
Yeah. And
Perfect.
Frozen, I like to make eat anything frozen, just because it's going to take you, like, you can savor it that much longer, you know?
Yes.
Okay, cool. All right. So let's go ahead and kick off. So I want to just talk about your athletic career. So what was what was the highest ranking that you hit with CrossFit?
Third in the world.
Third
Individual.
in the world.
Yeah.
And when was that?
2010 and 2013.
Damn, that's cool. 2013. And so, like, at that time, like, what did that require from you? What kind of level of commitment and time? And what did your training session and diet look like?
Well, 2010, I was like pre-baby. We'd just gotten married in 2009. I had tried the zone, so I had tried like weighing and measuring, but I got too lean, and I couldn't just had no like oomph to go forward. And so training was like all the time, because that was like I worked, I taught at the school, I taught Krav Maga, and then I trained all the time because it was fun. That was hanging out with my friends, and it was always like stupid human tricks and, oh, can you do this or you can do that. But I don't know that like it was still at that time like class programming. I wasn't doing like necessarily individualized, specialized programming yet.
Yeah. Okay.
2010, it hadn't quite gotten that intense yet.
To the extreme. Okay.
Yeah.
So that was still just like, maybe a couple hours in the gym.
Yeah. Probably 2 hours in the gym, but a lot of it screwing around because it was group class. And then those of us who like always wanted more, I was like, oh, can you do this? Oh, try this.
Right. Okay. And then how did that evolve? So in 2013.
So then 2011, I had my daughter. And so then it was juggling, baby, workout, commuting to the gym, and commuting with a baby when she was an infant wasn't too bad because she slept most of the time. But then as she got older, like LA traffic, a gym that was only like 6, 7, 10 miles away, my Dogtown gym. But it was taking like 40 minutes. And I didn't have that time. And I know time is precious to all of us. So then it was building the rig in the backyard and making training happen at home so that I could like condense my time. And by that point I was doing Invictus programming with CJ, and they have like the A through F or G or H or whatever. And so the main thing I did is I gave myself a time limit. So I had an hour to an hour and a half max. And so then if things were on time things, I was like, well, I can do it a little bit faster. And like in between sets, it was like cleaning up and setting up for the next thing. So I almost got my cardio in by like shoving everything together as close as possible and just taking out what I couldn't fit in. And there was a lot of guilt of like not fitting things in, whether it was fitting in training or fitting in time with my kid or my husband or work or school. But giving myself time limits really helped. Like, this is my training time, and keeping it to that hour to an hour and a half max.
That is not much to be going to the games and be training at that, but it made you make the most out of that, I bet.
There wasn't any screwing around. Probably not a lot of stretching.
Yeah.
Still probably not a lot of stretching.
Yeah.
Like 5 leg swings, 10 squats. Let's go.
That is just incredible.
That was what the training looked like up until about 2015. So it was like that hour to an hour and a half, really just intense. And I had to know what the program was, and I had to just make that plan and had to like sequence it so that I could just speed through it. Not that I was being reckless or sloppy with it, but that there wasn't a lot of rest breaks. And if it said rest a minute, I was like, can we cut it down to 45 seconds? If it said you get like a minute and a half to do the work, could I do it in a minute? Like, where could I like crunch it down and fit it in? And I think that actually helped a little bit with my fitness too.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that like having that priority, it saved you from taking it to the extremes that a lot of other athletes take it to.
Yeah.
Because you that was it, right? 1 hour, 1.5, Like there wasn't like maybe a second session if you could get it in. You
Not
didn't.
until summertime. Like once, like after regionals,
Right.
like regionals, because I was still teaching, and regionals was I'm sorry, that was my alarm so that I wouldn't miss us, and it was on
Cool.
snooze.
I have one that goes off every hour, so don't worry about it.
Okay. Regionals every year. Regionals was Thursday night was back to school night or open house at school, and so all the parents and the families and everybody comes to school. And Thursday night it was check-in for regionals, and it was the initial like check-in. Here's what the workouts are going to be Friday morning. So I'd finish open house around 7:30. Then we got to pack up the car, drive down to Del Mar, which is like an hour and a half away. I'd miss the briefing every year. And then Friday, I'd be like, okay, anybody want to tell me anything that we need to know before we start this thing?
Oh my God.
Friday morning was go time for the Friday, Saturday, Sunday of regionals. So if I could make it through that, then once summertime came, once June was around, then it was like doubling up on the sessions, meeting with, Southern California ladies like Jamie and Becca and everyone and ramping it up. So, yeah.
That is that is so incredible. Cause I mean, if something got in my way for the week, leading or the month, it was like, I thought that was the end of the world. And here you are having like an hour, if that, not even an hour, like no peace of mind. But I feel like it worked in your favor to not get like, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't have as much time to get up here because there was always something else. There was a kid, there was school, there was parents, there was whatever. And so it helped me not get too caught up.
What I really like though, is it seems like, you knew from the get-go and you didn't get just like swayed as what is important to you, which was you being a mom and your job and a wife.
Yeah. Yes. No, this is CrossFit. It's a huge part of my life, but and I think if you ask my husband, he would say it doesn't take backseat to anything because I do. I eat, breathe, think about it. But at the same time, my family and my career are definitely the priority. But yeah, I still, we still talk about it all the time.
I don't think a lot of people know that. That is so impressive. I think that's the most impressive thing, like I think I've ever heard out of all the CrossFit athletes. I mean, it's crazy. So looking back at it now, what would you say is the best part of your athletic career?
Oh,
who it's made you who you are maybe today.
Okay. Well, I think the biggest takeaway, the biggest lesson is trusting in myself, like knowing myself. It's easy to get caught up in the competition and like not have my blinders on and worry about what other people are doing, and that goes with social media too. Like, I should be doing more. I'm not doing enough. I don't look this way. I don't look that way. I don't move, whatever, like the not enough, not good enough.
Yep.
That devil on your shoulder voice. But I think what CrossFit has taught me time and time again is trust. Trust in what I've put in, all the effort I've put in, and trust that I know my body. Like, I know when to push. I know like when to ease back, like to trust that. Because sometimes, if you're on a team or other things and people start shouting at you to like change your plan.
Yeah.
And yes, you have to adapt and change. But for me, my takeaway was, I know when to change. I know when to adapt. I know the sweet spots. And when I let somebody else dictate those is when I fell apart or when I didn't do well. And when I trusted in myself is when I did well.
Yeah, that's really interesting because I'll tell you what, like, I stuffed that down. Like only within the last year have I actually known what is my sweet spot and been true to that. Ever before that, it's always been, I got to outwork. I got to do what they're doing. And so that's interesting that CrossFit actually kind of brought that to you or taught you that. Whereas like that taught me the opposite almost,
or maybe it's a practice that I'm working on all the time. Like I do get caught up in it, but I remind myself like what you've done has worked so far.
Yes, that is very true. You know why? I guess probably why this is the case is because going your route, which was so different from all the rest of the athletes, it worked really well. And so you realize, hey, like I don't have to follow the crowd. I can do my own thing and I should trust that,
Yeah.
So that's really, really cool. Interesting.
And I think
So
oh, sorry, go ahead.
no, you go. Yeah, you
I
go.
think the other thing that really helped me is that CrossFit wasn't the only thing in my life. So
Yeah.
although my ego was tied heavily to it, I also had other things. I had a full-time job. I have I have those things, so that if it didn't work out, it was still very devastating when things didn't go the way I hoped they would go or didn't look the way I wanted them to look. But in general, like it meant that CrossFit could be my fun. So everyone's like, "Oh, you're going to win it. You're going to do this." I'm like, how about we just all say like, "Hey, Val, go have fun." That was, if I could keep in the context of fun, don't get me wrong, I'm super competitive, but I can't verbalize that. Like, I'm going to go out there and smash that. If I do that, that's like way too much pressure on my shoulders. It's like, I'm just going to go out there and do my thing and let that work for me. So that mental attitude helped too.
Oh man, girl, right there, dude. I can't agree with you more right there. So, just training in the garage and stuff, like over the past year, I've learned how to have fun with it. Cause I think I made it sound like, oh yeah, I love working out. I love it. It's so much fun. I
Right.
think that I was lying to myself. It was more something that was a chore. And I just said, I love going hard. But really I didn't really know what it was like to actually just love it for the love of it,
Yeah.
And girl, like when I just focus on loving, like just having fun, the intensity, the weights, the skills are there. If I
Yeah.
just focus on fun first, rather than, oh, I got to go hard, and then as a result of going hard, then I can call it fun, or if
Yeah.
I choose.
Yes.
Yeah.
The intensity and the challenge too. I mean, I guess that's part of what I use the social media for, is like, ooh, what fun things, like, and then I'm like tagging things that
Yeah.
look fun to me. So then I'm like, ooh, that's what I can add into it. And the other thing, I mean, you're talking about transitioning too from a competitive athlete to a like even more balanced lifestyle. I went back to group classes and I am in heaven.
Yeah, we're
Because
gonna
that's
talk
what,
about that.
okay, sorry, I jumped ahead.
Oh no. Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, let's talk about that. Like, so yeah, what are you doing now? Let's go ahead and talk about what are you doing now?
Well, besides like the COVID-19 like Zoom classes that are still group classes, but for the last 2 years, for sure 2 years, has been all group classes and just
Okay.
enjoying the heck out of it. Just that's what I fell in love with. That's what made me fall in love with the sport in the first place. And training by myself or having like one training partner that I was going hard with, but we had like this like never ending to-do list, like somebody else figuring out what I'm doing and telling me to do it and me enjoying it and competing with the other people in class is my favorite.
Hey guys, just wanted to pop in here real quick. I've been talking to so many women lately, and the one thing that just keeps coming up for them is finances. So I listened and I've created a super affordable small group coaching program to get you unstuck without breaking the bank. Every 90 days, I launch a new group program of 20 like-minded ladies or less, and I coach them through this exact steps to losing fat and building muscle without having to kill themselves in the gym or obsess over food. Be sure to follow me on Instagram at natalie.newhart to stay up to date on when the next group kicks off, or just send me an email to claim your spot in the next group. All right, guys, back to the show.
And there's always, I think that's also the great thing about the group classes or group in general. There's always someone there to push you. There's someone always there like, Val, you're gonna do an extra 100. Ooh, what, you're not gonna do the men's weight? Come on, Val. And I love it. I love it because they're challenging me, they're pushing me. And then I can choose. I can either choose to like step up or just be like, nah, not today. My body's not feeling it. But that challenge is fun. There was another guy who I would train with in the mornings, and his rule was like, all right, Val, we got to up it and double it. Like everything was up and double. And so it still made group class lots of fun. And then there was that added challenge into it. Because I think that's the great thing about CrossFit, right? It's infinitely scalable. You can make it as, like everyone's like, doesn't it get easier? I'm like, no, because there's always another level. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so that's a good question, right? I think this is a good topic because it's a great thing about CrossFit is the the environment and the camaraderie and pushing each other, but that can also become something that's people lose themselves. They don't know when to not go hard, and oh, come on, you can do it. Yeah, but maybe they really shouldn't be doing it. Like maybe they just need to pull back. And so how do you know when that is it's a day when you're like, what, I'm just gonna chill, it's cool, like you do your thing, like how do you know when to say that, and how often does that happen?
I don't know. I gotta be honest. There's a lot of days where like I can jog to the gym when we're in the gym, and I'll jog over. I'm like, I'm not gonna go hard today. I just want to take it easy today. I'm just gonna go easy. I'm not gonna let anyone push me today. And I get in there. I'm like, okay. I get it. There's still that energy, but I think with maybe it's with age. I don't know. With the weights especially, like I pick and choose how heavy that goes because I don't mind being sore, but I don't want to be hurt. Mm-hmm. So knowing where that limit is, I don't know. I like I was saying, the sport in general, like competing for almost 10 years, I feel like I do know my body pretty well. Yeah. And so I know where where to start. No, I'm still stupid. I have good people in the gym. Mm-hmm. The truth is there's good people in the gym. Be like, Val, didn't such and such hurt? Maybe you should let's dial back from that. So there's a little bit of both. I got the ones that push me, and I've got the ones who hold me accountable.
Do you ever not go RX? Do you scale?
Yes. Not very often.
Okay.
But I do.
Mm-hmm.
But I do sometimes.
And do you? So yeah. Okay. So. And then is that just like, it's probably just based off like soreness or how you're feeling or what you got going on that day?
Yeah. Or if mentally, like if I've decided, sometimes there's days where I just want to go fast. Mm-hmm. And that means the weight has to come down. Mm-hmm. So today I want it to be a speed day. And so whatever's programmed, if I'm like, well, that weight's not going to let me go very fast. Mm-hmm. And I want to feel that, frantish lung, and I really want to be out of breath versus standing over the bar going, okay, another 30 seconds before I can pick it up again. Mm-hmm. That's usually when I scale down. And that's my limiting factor is the weight most often.
Mm-hmm. So are you saying that like before the workout, do you set an intention of what you want to achieve? You do?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not all the time, but sometimes there's really like some days I really feel that I want to do something. Other days I'm talking myself into doing it like any other human being. Like, I don't really want to work out today, but I'll feel better when I do. And I have that conversation with myself. And then I have to convince myself, here's a conversation. I don't want to go. Well, you'll feel better when you go. Okay, well, let's just go. But I'm not going to go hard. Okay, you don't have to go hard. You just have to show up. Okay, I'll just show up. And then I get there and I start and then I go hard.
And then you let it. Yeah.
And then I let it go. But I think most humans, I would guess, have that that motivation factor that's hard. And that's what group class is for. They hold me accountable. They're there. I have to show up and check in. And I do it first thing in the morning so that nothing else can get in my way. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then anything else the rest of the day that I accomplish is like bonus, icing on the cake.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. Cool. And as far as like when you decided to retire, like what made you want to do that? When did you know like, hey, I'm good? Or have you?
Yeah, I waver back and forth because it comes and goes. But like you were saying, when the training gets so intense, it feels like a job and it feels like work, and it can start to lose the fun. Mm-hmm. And I think when, there was a couple times like 2015, it had lost its fun, then came back around. And I think I took 2016 off, 2017, I went to the games. But that was because I was having fun, but I didn't train intentionally to make it to the games. And so my training was I did not perform the way I would have hoped I would have performed at the 2017 games.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, that being said, and then 2018, I took off, and then I felt like playing again. So I was doing like little competitions, and then, set a goal to go to Wadapalooza and that type of thing. But it feels very different competing as a masters athlete than as an individual athlete.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So.
And were you, I guess training didn't really change that much because you were only doing like an hour and a half. So really, your body probably didn't change that much then. Yeah. Because
I'm looking at my goals back from 2015, and I'm still trying to hit those goals. My strength thing is still my biggest weakness, and I'm not hitting those numbers, which is why I don't think I'll ever make it on the individual floor again.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I don't know that that's my intention either. Like,
right.
My intention is just to have fun and to play with the sport. And sometimes it feels like I want to compete. Sometimes it really doesn't feel like I want to put in all that time and effort.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
Okay. And so what does your diet look like today? How has it changed, if any?
It really hasn't changed too much. I think since being a mom, I think if I wasn't a parent, I would only keep the foods in my house that like were, I don't know, strictly healthy, like strictly to provide nutrition for my body in the best way possible. But I have a husband and a kid who like to eat. And so there's all sorts of food and temptations in the house. But I would say in general, like we eat like meat and veggies at dinner. And, there's whether it's overnight oats or eggs for breakfast, and then, eating our colors and snacking through the day, not such a heavy lunch. But it hasn't really, we've done food prep since 2009. And that's just how our family rolls. Food prep for breakfast.
So you do prep a bit?
Oh, yeah. But that's just, so yeah, the food prep's been around since 2009. Like prepping the lunches for the week, prepping the breakfast for the week, and then dinner. There's a menu on the wall, and it says like what the proteins are and what the veggies are going to be. And so no, it hasn't really changed. I think sometimes getting closer to a competition, if I want to clean up the sugar because it makes my joints less achy, I can clean that up, but that's not super clean all the time. I like my York peppermint patties.
Yeah, it's nice to have a little balance.
Yeah.
And do you track? Did you ever track?
No.
Okay. So you've been a non-tracker. So you didn't really have to go through that transition. Yeah. Okay. And do you feel that it's easier to maintain your physique now than it was beforehand? Like, because you aren't, I don't know, maybe feeling like you have to exercise all the time, work out all the time. It's a little bit more kind of free flowing and.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm still mental as heck about body image. I laughed the other day. I told my husband, I'm like, how does it feel in my head that my body went from being like plus size to like supermodel in 2 days? Like it doesn't make any sense. Like the mental nonsense. I think since I stopped competing, like the numbers on the scale have been lower. And I don't know if that's a muscle mass thing or if it's less like water retention. I think there was so much stress when I was between the mental and the physical training. There was a lot of water retention and a lot of holding on, with my body. But the scale's gone, clothes fit, and I'm still mental about it. Like I want the LGN, but it doesn't, I don't think my body's changed really that much.
What's LGN?
Look good naked.
Oh, look good naked. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And I mean, it seems like your relationship with food is pretty good. Would you agree, or do you have?
I spent many years with fighting bulimia, so I had a terrible relationship with food. Okay. And then my body didn't. Then when I was trying to recover and have a healthier relationship, I had done so much damage that I couldn't keep food down even when I wanted to. And then my stomach was irritable about everything because it hadn't had to really digest that much. So then I went through like, I'm sure they were food allergies. And so then there were so many restrictions placed on just because eating them just gave me such a bad upset stomach. But I've slowly, I think I've slowly found a lot more balance, like where I'm not overindulging in things. There's not the denying and then the overindulgence.
Right.
And that there's, bread here and there tastes amazing. Doesn't like, I don't like the after effects of feeling puffy and whatever afterwards, but it's not the end all be all. But I don't like greasy fried foods. Like, I think if somebody else, I don't know, somebody were to judge me, they'd probably say I was still a little picky about my food.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like I found in my personal relationship with food a lot more balance and a lot more leeway than I used to ever give myself.
Mm-hmm. So it's like you focus, I'm assuming you kind of focus on like protein and veggies, but you know what, hey, if I want a York patty, I want that, or if I want some bread with my meal. So it's just sprinkling these things in that sounds like it gives you that balance so you don't go from one extreme to another.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, cool. Awesome. And so do you find yourself, it's so easy for us to like beat ourselves up and compare with our old scores and, tell ourselves like, oh, I didn't go hard enough, or that workout wasn't hard enough. And, kind of get into that negative spiral, which a lot of women who probably are watching this, they tend to do that and associate that with food, because the harder they go, the harder or the more they can eat. And so do you ever find yourself like kind of associating with that, like, eating more with like, I have to work out hard and eat in order to eat more, or no?
Not too much. I think I went through a phase of that at one point when I was training, but since I've retired, I don't really, I mean, sometimes I laugh at it. Like, I feel like I worked out really hard, or I've done the assault bike. I'm like, oh, that was only 200 calories. That's barely an apple.
Right.
And then I go, that's not a great way to think about things. So I don't spend, I think those thoughts cross my mind once every couple of weeks maybe, but I don't exercise for my food anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So that's been like several years without that.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Needing that or doing that in my head.
Yeah.
So that's been a really nice space to be away from.
Yeah. And that sounds like a nice sort of a balance that you've actually found more of since not competing.
Yes.
Feeling less famished, and then kind of that craziness around food, obsessiveness. Okay.
Yes.
Cool. And do you like when you work out, do you focus on like hitting certain scores or times, anything like that, or holding a certain pace?
Well, I think when you talked about like intentions earlier, like I look at a workout and I go, okay, I think this should take this much time, and then try and set a goal to like go faster than what I think it's going to take. Or if it's a EMOM, like setting, whatever I hit the first round, like try and match that every round. Mm-hmm. Or whatever it is. I do try to set an intention so that I feel good at the end that I've achieved something.
And
so
if
besides, if I don't achieve it,
because that's where a lot of people can really beat themselves up, and then the workout becomes more of a chore.
Right.
So how do you avoid that? How do you not be so hard on yourself?
Yeah. I think that's where I choose to mix in things that I know that I'll be successful at, or that do make me feel good, right? So the times that I'm usually not hitting something, it's a weightlifting number, because that's where I struggle, right? And so I set unrealistic goals for myself. I'm like, okay, or I'm working off a percentage of a made up expectation that I think I should be hitting that I actually haven't ever hit, and set myself up for failure that way. But then I think that's where I work in, like, gymnastics are some of my favorite things.
Okay.
And so I like the challenge of the gymnastics piece, but I also know that I'm skilled enough in that area that I can feel success. So I have to work in those pieces too. So I'd be like, oh yeah, and then I did this really cool thing.
Yeah. So you make sure that you just build your confidence in some way. Like maybe
Yes.
it's just, you know what, I'm here. So I showed up and I'm already, I already feel good regardless of what happens.
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
picking something that, and I think that's also where, and I'm not great at this, but also choosing, like, in a workout, even if you don't hit an intention you set, or you don't hit a certain goal, there's other
Yeah.
parts that went well. Like generally, it's like looking at a day in your life. It's not that everything went bad, but there was something that you pinned and you're like, oh, that went bad. So then all of a sudden the whole workout was terrible, when that's not really the case.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it's finding those highlights and like holding on to those, or creating that highlight for yourself, for myself, by throwing in the
Mhm.
gymnastics, or like, okay, well then I'm going to do a little video of something silly, or I'm going to do something else to make it
Mhm.
a highlight.
Yeah. High performers tend to do that. It's like, if we don't hit this goal, well then we suck, we're a failure, we're not good enough. And I definitely noticed that. And, I've been working a lot on that. And now I just see the intentions as just a focal point, right? It's just something for us to focus on, and whether I achieve it or not doesn't dictate whether our worthiness, of how good we are.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and then when you don't feel like working out, what do you do? Like, do you try to get yourself to work out anyway, or do you say, you know what, it's okay, I'm not going to go in the gym today?
Yeah. I definitely allow myself the 1 to 2 days to just be like, it's not happening today. I don't need it to. Something else is gonna work out, or happen, or you know what, today absolutely nothing is gonna happen. I mean, my rest days when I was competing were like going for like a 5-mile jog. You know
Right.
what I mean? Now a rest day is literally, I've done nothing physical, like maybe I went gardening. Like,
Yeah.
so but I think if I allow myself too many, so I think there's a there's the 1 to 2.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
Yeah.
for me, it can become a slippery slope.
Very.
Um, so it's like the allowance. I've got 1 to 2 days where I can just be like, I need it off, or I just need it to look different.
Mm-hmm. Right. Right. Very small, short and sweet, maybe not a whole class. Keep
Yes,
it. Yeah.
exactly.
Cool. I agree. And so what do you do outside of the gym? Something that your favorite thing that just kind of fills you up and just sort of recharges your tank, and what anything that comes to mind that you do?
I love reading.
Reading. Okay.
Yeah. I would just want to curl up with my book, either in the sun or snuggle in my bed or on the couch. I love that. That just takes me away to a different place, and I really love that.
What kind of reading do you do? What kind of books do you read?
I love a lot of like sci-fi, fantasy, fiction books, but I've been doing some book clubs. And we've been reading some intense, like Oprah Winfrey, like book club books, and
Oh,
those have been fun too. Like
cool.
the
Business
realistic,
books.
yeah, those have been eye-opening.
That's cool. Oh, how cute. You get together with your book club. That's
Yes.
awesome. It just sounds like a totally different group of people. And it's just, I think that's really important to have, that balance with a
Yeah.
different person. Cool. All right. So we're getting down to the end here. So like, what's the single thing that that you need to do for yourself in order for you to stay fit, look fit, and also have this balance and have freedom within your gym? Like, what is, when everything falls into, what is it, the thing that you do that makes sure everything sort of falls into place? Your eating habits, your motivation to work out, your love for life. Is there anything like kind of ritual that you have to have in place?
I just need a routine. Like I need, like, the schedule and the routine makes me feel really at peace, because I know when the pieces fall and where they fall, and that I'll have space for it.
Mm-hmm.
That routine and preparation, like preparing to set myself up for success, having the food prep done, knowing that I'm going to get my workout in, like before COVID, like getting my workout in at 5 or 6 in the morning, and knowing that was done, I could start my day like showered and fresh and like
Yeah.
energized. That made it easy to keep going. And I think it's the people you were talking about, like having different people to surround yourself with. Like the people that I surround myself with is
Mm-hmm.
so important.
Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. Awesome. And what would you say that is your one piece of advice then? Like, what would be your one piece of advice for somebody to create balance in their life, to know that they don't need to be spending all the time in the gym or obsessing over food in order to look fit and feel fit?
Yeah, I would say like carve out those special times so that it doesn't become all encompassing, right? And then prioritize like what really is the most important, and then you can base it off there, right? Because we only have 100% to give.
Right.
So then if you're trying to give 100% in like 3 different areas, it's just not possible. So where are you going to fit those pieces? And
Mm-hmm.
then, and it doesn't have to be so rigid, just loose
Mm-hmm.
enough that you have a plan that you can stick to and you can feel good when you've hit it. And
Mm-hmm.
then you don't have to beat yourself up when you didn't hit it, but it
Mm-hmm.
gives you a structure. And for me, structure's been my sanity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I think that's extremely important. You got to know like what's important to you, why it's important, and then understand that, hey, these 3 things are the 3 things that are most important to me. And then everything else, it's okay that doesn't get done, because we're not going to, if you think that you're going to try to get it all done, you're just going to never get there.
Yes, exactly.
Cool. Awesome, girl. Well, thanks so much, Val. That has been such an amazing talk. I've always been curious about how you did it, how you stayed so cool, calm, and such a badass. So, where can people follow your journey?
Val Voboril. I think that's my Instagram.
Val Voboril on Instagram. Cool. And yeah, awesome, guys. So thanks again, Val, and we'll see you guys on the next show. Bye.